What's up, guys? Today we're going to be talking about why the XM7 rifle is not a suitable replacement for the M4. First, we're going to go over some history lessons learned from the past and why the weapon's being pushed. So first, a representation that I have for the old M14 is going to be my Springfield Armory M1A tanker. Alright, got my UTG clamp-on bolt bipod, 20 round box magazine, rocks in like an AK. In fact, I'm pretty sure the AK inspired this design. So if you look at the M1A, it's very similar to the M1 Garand, and that's exactly why the military adopted it. 20 rounds over 8, 7.62 over 30-06, and it became a NATO cartridge at the time in 1957. But it was the shortest lasting service rifle in U.S. military history for a reason. When Vietnam kicked off, it was bogging dudes down. This weapon could be fired in full auto. You could not control it on full auto. Especially with the with standard wood stock, it wasn't happening. So the ammo, 7.62x51 is heavy. And Viet Cong carried 7.62x39. Still a 30 caliber bullet, but lighter. So the ammo was weighing them down. Let's talk about the weight of the M1A tanker. Alright. Now the barrel length is about 6 inches shorter than a standard M14 or M1A. So we're talking about the weight. It's 8.75 pounds, and then 120 round mag is 1.65 pounds. So add that in, that's about 9.75. Over 10 pounds, about 10.5 pounds, we'll say. With no optic, just a weapon and a mag. 10.5 pounds fully loaded, 8.75 empty. So, heavy boy. It's a heavy boy. You can have a 20-pound rifle in combat. That's fine. The ammo is too heavy. So let's go over the ammo. 7 magazines of 7.62 NATO and 20 round magazines is 11.5 pounds. It's a lot of fucking weight. Very quickly, it was determined that this weapon wasn't going to be used as a standard infantry rifle because of how heavy it was and how it was bogging dudes down. On top of other issues like jungle rotting the wood stock, but the main issue was the heavy weight of the ammo and the heavy weight of the gun. So, this right here is my AR-15. This will be used as a representation for the M4 and M16 platform. This is a Delton. Alright, you guys never seen this before. I plan to do a video on it, but I'm going to be using this in this video as a representation. Let's talk about 5.56. 30 rounds. M4 unloaded weighs 6 pounds. Fully loaded weighs 6.5 pounds. Or 7.5 pounds. 7 to 7.5 pounds, give or take, given the grade of your 5.56 ammo. So look at that. What's happening here? 7.5 pounds fully loaded. 10.5 pounds fully loaded. 30 rounds. 20 rounds. 7 magazines is going to be about 7 pounds, give or take, of 30 rounds. 7 mags of 20 rounds is 11.5 pounds. So look at that. You get more weight, less ammo with the M14. And more ammo, less weight with the M16 platform. So very quickly the gun was adopted. It had some issues. The M16A1 was released, which one of its notable features was the forward assist, which Eugene Stoner was against, but became a staple. Every AR platform ever since then has had the forward assist. And there was a saying that the NVA had, fear the man with the black rifle. Oftentimes squads would patrol in the jungles and often encounter a larger enemy force. So how would they make up for this? So when the M16 was adopted in the Vietnam War, your standard loadout was 8 20 round magazines. Alright, 30s weren't common, and the ones that were around had spring issues, so 20s were standard. That was a standard combat loadout, but because of how light this was, and the older dudes that had the M14 went, holy fucking shit, shit's light as hell. So they carried bandoliers of 5.56. It was estimated that the average infantryman carried between 1,000 rounds and 1,500 rounds of 5.56 ammo. It was determined during the Vietnam War that per enemy killed on our side, we expended 1,000 rounds. You're in the thick jungles, all you see is muzzle flashes. You don't know how large or how small that force is. Volumes of fire, gun them down. That was the mentality. Dudes would shoot so much that they would literally set their rifles on fire. It happened, but they were became a very effective weapon and stayed in service for a very long time. Because of how light it was, and how light the ammo was, and how light recoil it was. On full auto, you could control this thing no problem. There's plenty of footage from Vietnam of guys firing from the hip and controlling their rates of fire just fine. It's semi-automatic, 3-round shot groups at distances versus your M14. You're getting them tighter. That's the other reason why it was adopted. Now, this weapon's been in service for 60 years and has had multiple weapons try to replace it, and they failed because Eugene Stoner is one of the greatest firearms designers of all time. Now, recently the Army adopted, or the military is adopting the XM7 rifle. First of all was the XM5 rifle, but Colt already made an AR platform called the M5. So because of copyright, they had to change it to the M7, which is fucking hilarious because it shows that people aren't doing research that they should be doing. So we went over the weight of the M1A and the AR-15. Now let's go over the weight of the SIG rifle. Unloaded, the SIG rifle weighs 8.4 pounds unloaded. With a suppressor, 9.84 pounds unloaded. With a 20-round magazine of 6.8 by 51. I'm going to show this as reference. This is a 7.62 NATO or 308 round. 6.8 is a smaller diameter projectile bullet. It is the same exact length and weight as a fucking 7.62 NATO. In fact, when I saw the 101st testing them when I was at Fort Campbell, they had what looked like M1A mags, but they were clear. Well, AR platform, so we'll say AR-10 mags. They just had AR-10 mags with 6.8 rounds in them. So let's go over the SIG rifle that's going to replace the M4. Once again, 8.4 pounds unloaded, 9.84 pounds with a silencer, and then loaded with the silencer, 11.24 pounds. Slick, no optics. Now look here. 7.5 loaded with no optic. Now you add an optic, add a laser, add a grenade launcher. This thing will get up to about 12 pounds. But that's manageable because you have 5.56. Like I said, you could have a 20-pound rifle. That's fine. But look, the M4 will get up to that weight if you load it down with a tac light, a PEC 15, an optic of some sort, a grenade launcher. It'll get up to that weight. But you got to throw a lot of shit on it to make it heavy. This gun, which is very similar in weight to this gun that's already fucking heavy as shit, now you're throwing all the tech on it. How heavy is it going to get? So, for those of you who don't know, testing began in 2502 in 2nd Brigade Combat Team with the 101st. ACO was testing it at the time. I was in DECO, but I was curious. I already knew this weapon was going to fail. So I was going over there and I was asking soldiers questions who were testing it. And they said the same thing. Either chamber this platform, the MCX platform, which operates on a short stroke gas piston driven system, which this bad boy operates on a long stroke gas piston driven system, much like the 240 and 249 machine guns. And chamber that platform in 5.56, or keep the M4, or make it a DMR rifle. Kind of like how this rifle, which as you can see with this massive Vortex Diamondback tactical scope, I have set up as a marksman rifle. And that's eventually what the M14 evolved into. But then the military adopted an AR-10 platform for its marksman rifle. So history's repeating itself. They wanted to adopt the AR-10, said no, and then went, wait, hold on. Back and forth. Those who don't know history are doomed to repeat it. So what's going on here? Why is the military with 60 years of effective use with the M4. And by the way, when body armor really became popular during GWAT, all right, when I was in Iraq, I'd have front, back, and side plates. That gets heavy. I could not imagine carrying 7 mags weighing over 11 fucking pounds. I barely noticed the 6 mags on my body that I was carrying. And then, in fact, I was also trying to see if I could carry more. I wanted to see if I can get an extra 3, but the deployment was kind of garrisonized. It was strict, so we all had 7 if we were riflemen. But I was willing to carry more. I don't think I'd be willing to carry more if I had the 6.8 round. So, Vietnam, we talked about fear the man with the black rifle and outgunning the NVA. Well, here's the thing. When they were testing this in the 101st, ACO 252 was like, this isn't it, this isn't it. All of a sudden, testing moved to Bastogne Brigade. And I remember watching on social media, this is when I got out of the 101st, that, oh, this weapon's great. They were purposefully suppressing the negative feedback the soldiers had about the rifle. In fact, during the live fire, soldiers were running out of ammo so often that they would have to run back to the rear and get more ammo. And I remember it was a battalion commander from Bastogne. I forgot who it was, but he said, oh, we're going to have to learn to conserve our ammo. Yeah, they tried that in Vietnam and it didn't work. M16 took over. Why the suppression of negative feedback? Why making excuses to adopt it? And here's what happened. Talking to U.S. Army WTF moments, I was informed that a retired general officer from the United States Army has been the big push into adopting this weapon. I guess he wants to make his mark in history. Listen, you got to use what fucking works. You can't just push a gimmick just because you want to make your mark in history. Finally, a company commander from the 101st, and thank you, sir, for what you did, came out and said in an article, this is not the fucking weapon. And it's not the fucking weapon. It is the modern rendition of a fucking M14. It's history repeating itself. Those who don't know history are doomed to repeat it. And just like early in Vietnam when dudes were getting killed because of this rifle, I see our next war, that happening. Now, why the push for 6.8? Let's talk about 6.8. I think 6.8 should replace 7.62. It is a far superior round. Adopt a machine gun, replace the 249 and 5.56, chamber it in 6.8, but have a fire teams of riflemen to support that guy. Alright? Having one of these guns on a team isn't bad because you'll have a team of riflemen supporting him. That's why the M14 as a marksman rifle in Iraq and Afghanistan wasn't too bad until they adopted the AR-10 platform like the HKM-110 or the Knights Armament SAS. But that's because you have a specialized role. If I have no idea what I'm getting into, I'm taking this every time. If I have no idea what I'm getting into, I'm taking this with as much 5.56 ammo as I can carry because I'm confident in it and it works. I would take this only if I specifically knew I'm going to be engaging long range and I need something that I might need to clear rooms with and engage close range, but only if I have a team supporting me. I'm not confident in this weapon in that aspect. One might say I'm biased because of the M4 because I served in the military and the M4 was my standard weapon for almost my entire time. Yes, but history has shown it works. So, the 101st, pushing it. I know there's some guys making money. Listen, make your money. I get that. Don't get these guys killed because you want to make money. You know what works. Don't abuse your authority. Try to adopt a weapon that doesn't work. They suppressed the faults of the gun, and it got to a point where soldiers were speaking out and turning to media sources like Happy Army, which he made an article about it, which didn't surprise me. I already knew that they were gonna be foul play. I already knew that they were gonna be lying because that's how the 101st is. That's what they fucking do. I don't want to shit on the division too much, but the officer corps there was so corrupt that it didn't surprise me. But for the soldiers that spoke up, thank you. You guys did your country a service. Even in the North Carolina National Guard, one of my old NCOs went there. He told me, yeah, we have been sending up as much negative feedback as possible. The weapon sucks. So listen, I've said this in my previous videos. Use what fucking works. You're carrying 11.5 pounds of 20 round magazines. That's more weight, less ammo. 7 pounds, 9 pounds give or take for 7 mags of 5.56, 30 rounds. 210. That's, let's see here, that's 70 more rounds with less weight. And that's your starting combat loadout. You could definitely carry more. But that's why the 5.56 round was so good. So here's my solution to the next gen weapon. Adopt the M7 rifle as a special purpose rifle. When this weapon was adopted into the EBR stage chassis, it was heavy as fuck, but you could fire it on full auto. So you had a weapon that can engage out to 1,000 meters or more as a marksman rifle, but then had the capability of shooting in full auto. Shoot it in full auto in this stock, it's not going to work, but drop it in the EBR stage chassis and it fires just fine. Well, I see the M7 rifle as a special purpose rifle, engaging long range, and it can be fired in full auto. So you got 2 6.8 machine guns in each squad, pretty much. You got one that can do precision shooting and can lay down hate if need be. And then have teams of riflemen carrying M4s. If we're going to adopt the MCX platform, that's fine, but there's a 5.56 variant that's been used in special operations. Well, guess what? Special operations has the UGRI, Upper Receiver and Group Special Operations Peculiar Mod Block 2. Sorry, words are hard. Those M4s are absolutely insane. Take a stock M4, I could see why Joe wants a new weapon. You take him and show him that, I guarantee you he will take that over the M7 rifle every time. Right now, what you guys are pushing the SIG rifle up in 6 hour, you guys are seeing pushback because the weapon's not working. I get 6 hour needs to make money. 6.8 should replace 7.62. So 6 hour, you guys, if I'm not mistaken, got the contract with 6.8. Produced the ammo. You're going to make a fuck ton of money because the military buys and shoots a lot of ammo. In fact, I'm pretty sure they even built a separate building specifically for producing 6.8 by 51 NATO. Keep producing it. Make your money. You guys need to make money, all right? Colt's been doing that shit for 60 years. That's why they haven't innovated, why people have been pissed off at Colt. They've had the military to live off of. 6 hours trying to do that. Cool, do that. But listen to me. Take this rifle as a special purpose rifle. Keep the M4 or adopt the MCX platform in 5.56. I say keep the M4. All right, history has shown time and time again that it's effective, and it has been tried to be replaced multiple times, and every time has failed for a reason. The M4 works, and what is flawed with it now can be improved upon, and has been improved upon. That's my take on the 6.8 rifle. I don't think it's going to work. Many people agree. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. If you like my M1A, let me know in the comments below. Yeah. Stop pushing, my last thing to say here, stop pushing gimmicks. Stop trying to make money off of the misfortune of the guys that are going to be going to war with this weapon. Don't do it. Use what fucking works. That's all I got to say. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you in the next one.